What's going on, guys? So if you clicked on this video, I highly encourage you to watch it the whole way through because if you are a software engineer in particular, I think you might find some insightful information here at the beginning. But I'm also going to talk about my career and what the future holds for this channel because I think I'm at a very pivotal point in not only this channel, but my life in general. But with that being said, we have to give our thanks to our sponsor for today's video, who is nobody. So the video you guys were supposed to watch today was going to be about this M5 MacBook Pro, but unfortunately I got laid off from my company today, which I will talk about in a second. But for the tech people who did click on this video, quick TLDR, like 15 seconds, I will have a full unboxing review on the M5 MacBook Pro, but this is a fantastic machine. Apple, I would say, is one of the few companies that is promising and over-delivering. Great machine, but just get the used M4 MacBook Pro. It's just as good. If you don't do a lot of local AI stuff and don't intend to, like a lot of the apps aren't doing any AI work, then just get the M4 MacBook Pro. It's the same machine essentially, and you're really buying this machine for the display, the speakers, and all the other stuff that comes with it over the MacBook Air. If you value that stuff, get the M4 MacBook Pro. If you're on Intel, bless your heart, like I always say, Apple's just killing it. And to be honest, any chip that you get from Apple is going to be better than what you have. Okay, now talking about being laid off, I'll try to make this brief. And I'll start off by saying a couple things. So just to give you guys a bit of context, I was a technical lead at my company, do software engineering work. That's what I do outside of YouTube. And looking at my target audience, I know there's a large portion that is on the older side because I am in my late 20s. If you've been in this position before, I'd say not even if you've been in a technical lead, I'd say if you've just been laid off in general, not necessarily give me advice on what I should do, but more just like words of wisdom and your experience on how things have been since then. I think that's more beneficial to me because advice, to be honest, I'm still young and you're probably still young too watching this video in your 50s, 60s, but I don't, life is your own journey. I would say I want to build out my own path based off what I want to do. And hopefully I make the right choices. If I don't, I'll learn from them. There'll be scars in my story. But I really just want like words of wisdom at most. But feel free to give advice for anyone else that has, comments, threads going down in the comment section below. But with that being said, just be brief about what happened because I know some people are always curious about that. I kind of knew it was going to happen based off the things that were going on. And I was going to record it, but I was just like, it's not really worth it. And I don't want to become one of those people on the internet that's just, recording the whole experience. It is what it is. It happens to people. I got a meeting invite. Initially, I thought it was just information from my manager that I needed to relay to my team. But once some other team members were like, hey, did you get this meeting invite from the manager? I'm just like, it's not good, and it's all back to back. So got the meeting invite, joined the meeting. My boss was on there. My boss's boss was on there. My boss's boss's boss was on there. And at that level, there's an executive position that was on that meeting with HR, and I was like, yep, it's not looking good. So yeah, my last day was today, and I would have been at the company 6 years on Saturday, so it's a little bittersweet. I didn't make that 6-year mark. It is what it is. I don't hold any malice to the company. I joined doing NLP work like 6 years ago as a junior developer and engineer and kind of just rose up the ranks from there, just doing hard work. At least I think I was doing hard work. And I think the one thing I'm going to take away from this entire experience is to not tie my identity to being laid off, especially from all the support I've gotten after being laid off. Like a lot of people are saying that they've been shocked that I'm not going to have any problems finding another company and that they're the last person I would think being laid off. But regardless of what they say, right, I think what some people get tied into being laid off with is just they tie being laid off to like, oh, I guess I'm a bad worker. I guess I don't actually do the work that I've been assigned to do or I agreed to do. Like, no, I definitely did some hard work at that company, no doubt. And I'm definitely not tying this laid off experience to I'm a bad worker. I'm just gonna keep on trucking and move on to the next thing. So it is what it is. I don't really care. I made peace with it. I've kind of grieved. I grieved for like 5 minutes and I was like, all right, well, gonna stop by my buddy's house and then just chill for the rest of the day and then start applying. So yeah, that's the plan. But there's also another plan in the making, which is YouTube. So YouTube is one of these hobbies that you kind of have to gauge how much you want to put into it. And the more you put into it, obviously the bigger the snowball is going to be. But I actually love what I do in the software engineering space, where I'll work extra hours and stuff like that, which I might not do in the future, but hey, that's neither here or there. But I'll spend hours on the weekend and just doing other stuff just so I can keep on top of stuff. And I think that's also just a thing within the software engineering space, where it's like, in order to stay current while doing all the stuff you need to do at work, you have to spend time outside of work. One book I recommend is I think it's like Designing Data Resilient Architecture or something like that. I'll have it on the screen. An amazing book I think a lot of people should read. But regardless, now that YouTube is in the free time and it can take up a large portion of my 9-to-5 job, I actually think I can build the channel I've kind of always wanted. And I would say this is probably a pivotal part in my life where I can truly pursue something that I don't think I would ever have the opportunity to do. And I would say I've positioned myself in a way where I have savings and I did investments like as soon as I started working. Like right out of college, I sacrificed the early 20s of like having fun and stuff to like invest and save money. And I think I've kind of reaped those benefits at this point in time. And this is one of these chances that I'm looking at right now that's just like, when am I going to have another opportunity like this? I need to seize the moment. So I'm still going to apply, but I'm also going to spearhead into just doing YouTube as if I always wanted to do YouTube. So with that being said, if you aren't familiar with the channel, this is one smartphone basket. This is the Z Fold 7, iPhone 11, Pixel 9 Pro. So I can go through all these entire devices. I love smartphones. I wish we had more smartphones here in the US, but it is what it is. I love doing these reviews, these day in the lives, and giving you guys insight on what you should purchase based off that. And I think since I don't have a lot of super high production value, and I don't think that's ever going to change. I know a lot of people say, hey, you should start doing this. This, like, listen, I'm the creative outlet on my channel. Let me be my own creative artist here. But with that being said, I think the most important things that you guys should take away from my videos is just to be honest with your money. And actually, before making smartphone videos and even laptop videos, I made financial videos. And I think I might be able to delve a little bit back into that as well to supplement with my smartphone content or tech content in general. Because some people, honestly, are truly reckless with their money. It is your money at the end of the day. Do what you want. But, if you are putting yourself in a position that you could have prevented, you should probably take those options instead. Don't try to just flaunt you have money for the sake of flaunting that you have money. It's that saying, don't keep up with the Jetsons. Or Jetsons, I don't know, whatever. I'll have it somewhere on the screen. Anyway, I also have some smartphone devices here on the table because that's just one basket. I also do laptops as well, but I want to put effort into this channel and see what actually happens. The other thing that I want to mention as well is I want to delve into other things outside of smartphones, laptops, and finance. So outside, like the past 2 years, I've been doing a lot of home lab stuff. I've ran a Proxmox server. It's been running pretty good for like the past 2 years. You might be shocked on what it's running on. And I actually just set up Image like 2 days ago, which is like your own self-hosted Google Photos. And I have like 10 terabytes of photos, not 10 terabytes photos, 10 terabytes of potential storage that I could use for photos. And I want to share that with like my family and stuff. Just to make it a lot easier for them. Networking. So networking is something that a lot of people probably don't know about me. I actually wanted to get into the networking field. Took classes all the way up until like my junior year of college. Took a Cisco class and realized I hate networking and I do not like Cisco. But it is what it is. And I've pivoted away from networking, got into programming. But I still love networking. I just don't like it in like the enterprise way. But doing it inside my own house, I love it. It's one of the most, it's a hard feeling to describe. It's just one of those like passionate feelings that you get about stuff. But this, you might say, is, wow, you're just talking about 2.5 gig switch. No, this is actually a 10 gig switch because it has 2 SFP ports. And these are converters from RJ45 to SFP. So I should theoretically be able to get 10 gig. I know whenever I look up videos on 10 gig, it's always, not always, but a lot of it is just like, hey, this is how you set up 10 gig. By the way, Ubiquiti sent me all this hardware. And it's like, have you looked at Ubiquiti prices? This is ridiculous. So since Ubiquiti doesn't know me, and I want to also be more on like the budget side of YouTube, where people don't spend, you know, an arm and a leg to get 10 gig and just get into the tech space. This is going to be a budget video potentially on how I can get 10 gig. Maybe it's going to be a complete failure, but hey, it is what it is. The next thing that I also want to talk about is just like NASs. I did make a NAS video earlier in the year. Terramaster actually sent me another one. This is their all SSD NAS. They're calling it the Homes Data Center, so might be getting that soon. I think that might be a bit of a hyperbole, whatever that word is, but an exaggeration. I don't think this is going to be a true home data center, but my fast storage, my super fast storage, should be nice now once I set this up. So this should be a cool video to make. But this stuff, and I also have a 3D printer that I was gifted to from a friend. I haven't even been able to use that, but I might be able to start making videos on just, you know, getting into 3D printing. How's that process? I also have this laptop here that I have Windows on that I want to wipe and do Linux on. There's just a lot of ideas that I've had for this channel that's outside of smartphones and laptops, that, I don't know, in a way it's like imposter syndrome, where I don't feel like I have the pedigree or the credentials in order to talk about a lot of this stuff here. Oh my God. Nothing Phone 3, I haven't even unboxed that. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that I feel as though I not necessarily make a video coming across as if I'm an expert, but just showing the experience on what it's like as like a regular person, right? And I want to try and stay as a non-sponsored channel. But I think moving forward, what I'm going to do, because I'm going to build out a website as well, where I'm going to have a comparison tool for smartphones, but even outside of that, I want to have a list of the sponsors that I work with, that I vetted, that you guys can publicly see, and just hold me accountable to the sponsors that I take. And if there is any disagreement or, you know, backlash on any sponsors that I work with, they will not be part of the sponsor list that I'm going to be working with. With that being said, because some people might not know this, I've actually worked with sponsors in the past, and I'm not going to name any names that I don't like, but the ones that I do like that I've worked with in the past is Intel and Herman Miller. And I say that because those are two companies that Intel in the past, you know, when they were on the up and up, I don't know what they're doing now. They're doing good work, but those are two companies that truly understand what it's like to work with a reviewer, influencer. I use influencer in quotes for specific reasons, because my definition is influencers nowadays, I feel like they're being influenced by businesses, and they're simply just another platform where companies don't want to build out their own advertisements, so they're just using influencers to influence people without doing proper reviews. And I feel like what really differentiates a reviewer from an influencer is that a reviewer will give you objective pros and cons on a product, on how it's evaluated. But an influencer is really just going to look at the pros, and whatever the company says, they're going to say that. And they're really just trying to drive whatever sales or message the company wants you to make. So I'm leaning more towards the reviewer side, and hopefully the companies that I work with let me have that creative outlet. I have worked with companies that are like, hey, we love your content, can you do this? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I work with them, and they're like, hey, can you start talking like this? Can you start doing stuff like this? And I'm just like, I thought you liked my content. And then it gets to the point where I'm just like, I'm not making this video. Don't care what you say. If I'm burning the bridge has been burned, if that's how you want to work. So the bridge can be rebuilt, I will say, but YouTubers, especially in the tech space, I'm not going to name any names, your audience is everything. And you should hold these companies to a flame and keep them accountable. And if you want to make content a certain way and you want to integrate it a certain way, you should push back and be like, hey, this is how I want to do it. And before any podcaster tries to tell me you don't know business, businesses are giving you a transaction, I just look at it as a transaction, I'd say you're part of the problem. You own YouTube is a platform, but you own your channel. You should have power and a voice in these decisions that you're signing with these contracts. Trust me, I've worked with Herman Miller, I've worked with Intel. It is doable. Say what you want. Don't be super negative, right? But be objective, work with them. And I always tell these companies, if your product is good enough, it's going to speak for itself. And regardless of what I'm going to say, word of mouth spreads faster. And if there is something negative with your product, it's going to spread a lot faster than whatever I say or what any other tech YouTuber says. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm excited for the future of this channel. I'm also very scared about the future of, what's going to happen in my life. But I think that's the beauty of, just living. So appreciate every single sub, like, and comment. And as always, guys, much love.